Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to episode 2 of my podcast. I call it the Dress Like Rappers podcast. If you didn't catch the first episode, check it out on my YouTube channel. That is Shinobi Toby. I am once again your host, Shinobi Toby, aka Young Sinatra. Today we have a special guest in the house. This is a man I've known for practically my whole life. This man has been a bit of influence on me, and growing up, you saw him a lot. He was very active, and I lived afar. We're family. Obviously, we're family. We share the same grandparents. Blood. We're blood. This is my cousin here. Theo, welcome him to the show, everyone.
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad to be on the show.
Yes. So Theo, tell them about yourself and maybe going on a rundown of your life, your career, everything you're doing up to this point. Kind of give them a scoop into, who Theo is.
I'm Tony, aka the Poetic Hitman. So basically, what that means is I go to war with my hands, but I defeat opponents with my mind. So it's a concept of balance.
Awesome.
So whole life it's been, being given some really special, unique names, and I had to find a purpose within that. And, the biggest challenge was also trying to develop a balance, trying to be the active, rambunctious youth, but at the same time is being able to be thoughtful, mindful, and putting together, whether it's poems, plans, proposals, just trying to find that balance.
Right. So, so essentially, so what do you do, in terms of work?
What I do? So realistically, I do a lot of, you could say, sales, marketing, motivation.
Okay, so technically you're a businessman.
Yeah.
You're a businessman by nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same thing as well when I was in college. I studied business marketing, so we share a little bit of that passion for entrepreneurship as well. And because we're family, it's we tend to have that we connect on that level and other levels. Exactly. So you used to do a bit of MMA. A lot of people in the city, they here in Windsor, people. My cousin has quite the reputation. Any person I approach, they always have something good to say about you. So tell the people, maybe a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, it started off where I had a flair for music. I had a flair for writing. School was interesting, but it just there was a lot that it wasn't really grabbing my attention.
Right.
And eventually, I ended up getting into wrestling, and it's something where it was very challenging, where it's methodical. You gotta think, you gotta plan, you gotta execute, and end up getting into it. And the one thing about it is that, within what I love about with the sport is that there's a lot of repetition, there's a lot of matches, you get a lot of opportunities to go there and try. So, fast forwarding, jumping into MMA, I was very hungry, and I would fight. I would fight probably 4 times a month, doing grappling, kickboxing, bare knuckle, just doing as many styles as possible, and then eventually getting to the MMA. But it was just something where I wanted to be the best. I wanted to really challenge myself at all aspects. So to this day, I have about close to 250 fights.
Wow.
With wrestling, kickboxing, boxing, the bare knuckle, MMA, some jiu-jitsu, just a lot of variety of things.
Right. So how many, I would say, fighting styles would you say you have mastered?
That's a good question, Master, because I've done a lot. I've played around with about 13 styles.
Okay.
Mastered, I'm actually a nunchuck master. Right?
Yes, if you guys didn't know, sorry, cut you off, but on his Instagram, he likes to do a couple of his tricks. So, if you want to learn from the best, this is the guy to go to, but continue.
Yeah, so nunchucks, or nunchaku as it's traditionally called. Then I got wrestling. Taekwondo, I had to teach for 6 years. Then ninjutsu, that's the taijutsu aspect of the for streets. And then I got the kickboxing. And then then I got into some judo. So those are really the styles that I'm really focused on, and really tried to master, right? I played around with many, different two styles of karate, just taking that and adding to my striking, a little bit of some kung fu as well.
Right.
So I like to little dabble and put it all together, but I've really just mastered probably about 4 styles.
Oh wow, yeah. This is good. You're also a trainer as well, fitness trainer. That's one thing you take pride in is the fitness of not only the mind but also the body.
Yeah.
A couple of people in the city, like I said, have good things to say. Tell them a little bit about that. How can people here in the city or people learn about your trainer, you as a trainer?
Yeah, so what it came down to now, the fitness part, because the MMA, that's where the technical aspect of you executing a move set. So now fitness, it comes down to is building your body. Right. So the way I look at it is that you're looking at certain patterns, right? So patterns are like squat patterns, deadlift patterns,
right.
Reaching over your head pattern, So those are certain patterns that are for your basic movement.
Right.
So look what fitness now is. You got to maximize your basic movement. So once you maximize your basic movement, that now adds to, if you're going to do some compound movements.
Right.
A lot of times we want to do these compound movements and complex movements, but we haven't even mastered the basics.
Right.
So basics is like walking.
Right.
You walk, right? But you got to now master that and take to the next level of of running or jumping or you have to take the next level. Right. Like for example, we're good on 2 legs, but sometimes people stop at that, right? But then when you go to balance on 1 leg, that's a little more complicated.
Right.
So it's important to go over your basics, right, and then challenge yourself with ready for complex movements. So my fitness basically is maximizing all my basics, and I want to make sure that I can lift heavy. I can do some high reps. I'm explosive.
Right.
I want to make sure I can work on my directional movement. Right. I want to make sure that resting. I'm able to still go. I want to make sure that when I'm tired, I can still do something.
Right.
So I'm going to challenge myself in all different ways. Right.
Good. What else?
Let me just add something to it. Okay. So that's how it is as me with training, but then now as a trainer with the business side,
right?
Very, very important thing I always tell people is that I don't win if you don't win.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're not coming to me for me to yell at you and to be your friend.
Right.
And for a pity party. No. Right? At the end of the day, is what I'm going to do with you is that I'm going to look at you and I'm going to see where you're at and I'm going to maximize your potential.
Right.
The one thing about it is that when you look at the human body, there's always something you can maximize.
Right.
So I have clients who are boxers.
Right.
Right. And I'm like, listen, I'm not here to teach you to box. I'm just going to maximize maybe your hip movement.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to maximize your full range of motion.
Right.
Right. Help you explosive power. I have clients who are actually, professional hockey players. Right. So I'm going to help them with their balance, their coordination, help them with their speed. Right. I've had some clients who are, baseball players, work at hand-eye coordination, work on maximizing the potential of their hips, their core, so the idea is it's always maximizing what your potential, because that's the thing, right? You're gonna be able to do something, if you're an athlete,
right?
That's something where you've been training for years and years, right? But your basics is something that maybe you don't work on as much.
Right.
But the idea is always to maximize that person. Right. So simply put it, you gotta win.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you about all my belts, trophies, and everything. Not
exactly.
About that. Right. You're not here to hear my story. I'm here to push you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was telling people, can't is a swear word.
Yeah. Definitely. Do you have? So you also used to do security for a little bit. What I know you probably bouncer security. So you have any stories to tell the people, especially about those days? We could probably sit here for hours talking about them. But do you have any specific stories of you being a security guard?
I never forget. There was this one moment where I had a crew and it was an outdoor event while we're in the Kingdom. Right. And I remember that I had a teammate that I brought her in to work security. Right. And it's tough because, I'm a lot of time to work with inexperienced people and I'm trying to show them and boost their confidence.
Right.
So
show them the ropes.
I remember that these people came from, I think it was from Chicago to an event. Wow. Couldn't get in. And this guy was 6'4", 350. Looked at me, he's trying to get through, and he's like, I need to get through. And I looked at him and I was like, no. I just stared. And he stared back, I stared. Inside I'm shaking. I'm just staring at him, not making eye contact, and he's like, okay. Right?
Right, he just got
another time I'll never forget where, this guy was like big dude. And, he was trying to piss me off and just, acting up. And I'm just watching. Right. And I get to go. Right. And, at the time, this guy's a big dude. I took him down. Right. And then the joke was I couldn't carry him out. So they would take him down.
He's like, then what?
Just carry him out. Right. But, one of my two story. One of the funniest thing was, I had this one dude, he was a leader, because what's very important with what I like with security, it's taught me so much where you're analyzing. It's not just going in there and beating people up. Right, you analyze, you see your environment, body language, you see who's who. I always know if there's a group, I know who the leader is. Right. So this guy was in there with 20 people. Right? And I never forget where I took my time, I was patient, I watched, I analyzed, and every time I see one person move, I feel like I am. Right? And then he was left there with 8 people. Right? Wow. I just kept throwing them out. Right? And then the last thing, the craziest thing was I remember, training with Mignon. Shout out to Doc Pan MMA. Yeah, shout out to this guy, man, he's the OG when it comes to security. His beauty man's bodyguard. Right. I'll never forget, I would have these weird dreams of, I remember we used to do 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, and I remember the time I was be good at fighting 4 people at the same time, right? And never forget these guys acting up outside, and 5 of them challenged me, right? Wow. So I'm there, boom, 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 and my thing is, especially when it's more than one person, I put in a pile. Exactly. So just pile them up, right? So, pile them up, whatever. And then I remember then the next day, so it was a Friday, then the Saturday, these guys came down and instead of 5, they had 6.
Jeez.
Right? And I laughed, I was a little excited, whatever. I remember, I was just there. When I was the first guy, I pull in and I sweep to the side, and then the next guy I kind of dump, and the third one I kind of pile on top.
Right.
So I remember I did that, boom, 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 just piled them up, whatever, and it was laughing. It was funny because that was my the last day I actually started working there, because after a while it was just too rambunctious. People wanted to fight me and
all the time. Exactly.
I can't help where I do like the challenge.
Right. Now, have you met any people outside of it, in terms of you kick somebody out or whatever? Have you encountered anybody that's oh, you recognize you? That's the guy that kicked me out the other night.
Oh yeah, wow. Yeah. So the funny thing about it is that for me, it's nothing personal.
Right.
When I'm with so for me, I'm there.
Right.
I'm studying body language. I'm seeing the environment. I'm focused on the details. So there are times where I've thrown someone out,
mm-hmm.
and then I'll go and I'll see someone a week later, and I'm they look familiar. I'm just smiling and I'm greet them. And, later to find out, I threw that person out. Right. I have actually made a lot of friends of people that I've thrown out. Right. So it's never personal. And in fact, one of my favorite lines, this was going back years ago when I first started. I've been doing security. It's 15 years now. One of my favorite lines, I used to say, listen, you got to leave. Right? It's either you walk out or I help you. And I like to help. And I smile.
Exactly.
So I'm giving them the option of either leaving or I help them leave.
Exactly.
Right? It's simple as that. When you give that option, you're stern, straightforward, you smile, you're polite.
Right.
They usually pick the latter. Right? There's only ever 2 people, then you end up making an example of them.
Exactly.
There's a few of them that ever challenge you.
Right. Coming to the more business side, I remember we've discussed more times about getting into t-shirt business and stuff like that. And one thing I've had a big thing is for fashion. I want to kind of get into more fashion and streetwear myself. I'm a photographer. Kind of give you guys an update. I'm a photographer in the city. I do videography. I just added that. Try to take that side of my photography work more seriously in terms of getting the video side out there. I just shot for my buddy the other day who's a skateboarder. Nice. Shout out Jordan Myers. Great guy, great skater, very talented kid. Shot with him the first time, and it was amazing. You have any plans like going forward in terms of like, merchandise or like, trying to get that side of the business?
I actually have quite a bit of partnerships. I have Jim Strong, okay, and then Lasso. I have quite a lot of other partnerships. Like, so basically for me now, it's the biggest thing is, there's people always come to me about product. Right. And, I realize I'm not going to be the guy that's going to be making it. Right. But, as I'm a networker, and I also know people, I realize I like to tap into my circle. Right. So what I'm doing now is I'm just tapping into my circle and seeing, especially when you got some talented people like yourself, who have some really good product that, especially is in need. Right. So what I'm doing now is I'm just tapping into my circle, and I'm really utilizing my marketing skills, networking to really focus on that. Right. Because at the end of the day is that, I always refer back to as a personal trainer when at one point I maxed out. I had 70 clients, and after that, I had no other time. And I realized that at that point, that was it. Right. And as much as I wanted to venture out to do more things, I couldn't. So at those moments, I realized that, hey, I got to capitalize on my partnerships and friendships that already have something. And what I can do is I can refer my people, my clients towards that. Because at the end of the day is that, you know, if Jimmy has a t-shirt, you know, my client's wearing it, and, you know, that's something he's working out in. Right. If Tommy's got boxing gloves, you know, those are gloves that my clients are going to use to maximize their workout. Exactly. So it's just creating those connecting those partners, connecting the right people, and propelling everything forward. Right.
Huge update in your life. You are currently in a relationship.
Yes, I am. It's been it's been a year.
A year? Wow. So it's been that long. Yeah. So like, how has that been in terms of like, you know, navigating? This is probably something, you know, you probably put on the back burner for a little bit of your life, and then you like decided to take it more serious. Like, this is someone
like a lot of people, you know, it's like they you know, I had some people like, oh my God, and they know. You know, it's for me, it was, you know, it came to a point where, you know, because like I don't know, I'm picky to a point. Like I'm not the easiest person to be around and deal with. I'm not. Right. Because at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you know, even if you breathe on me, it better be positive oxygen.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's how I am. Right. Because my process comes down to winning. So for me now, it took time and effort, because this was a relationship I wanted to nurture, I wanted to build, I wanted to grow. Because any female in my life understands that she's a queen. As a queen, you have a domain, you have a duty, You rule. You have a power, You are both my strength and my kryptonite. Right. So, you know, my attention goes towards you. Right. So this is where I had to really push, you know, and because, you know, like I was telling her, like, listen, like, I'm not Timmy. I'm not, you know, Jerry. I'm Theo Toney, the one and only. I'm unique, I am one of a kind. So it's very important that we understood each other's love language. Truly understood each other's passion, because, you know, she'll know that she'll tell you that my greatest asset and my currency is time. The moment I give you that time, it says something. Exactly. Because I'm a busy guy. So what it came down to is developing a partnership, a relationship, you know, a friendship, you know, coming together to really create, as well as, you know, the one thing about being an athlete, you know, being into, you know, the street, you know, like self-defense, all that stuff is, you know, there's certain triggers and there's certain things I had to also unlearn. And that was something where we both discovered, where, you know, like even me, it's like, you know, she's become my peace. Where, you know, I'm, you know, my body, like I'm tense when not intentionally. So it was just something where we had to grow and develop and really, you know, understand each other as humans, and like I tell her, like, listen, like, you know, my mission of growth, it simply means that any mistake that I'm made aware of, it means I have to acknowledge that mistake, and I push towards growing. So I'm not perfect, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna accept that imperfection, and I'm going to take a note and move forward. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's not about the mistake. It's about, are you willing to correct it? Are you willing to change? Because, you know, like I tell people, is that I have my own world. And, you know, it's, you know, because I'm focused on, you know, my outcomes. I'm focused on my goals, my aspirations. You know, because I'm focused on that, and I create my own worlds. So now I'm like, you're in it. I may have to alter certain things.
Right.
And I have to accept that, because to do it right, any relationship is 100%.
Oh, definitely.
It ain't 99. Right? So she knows that she gotta come to me 100.
Right.
Come to me 99, because I'm a Libra too. That's it.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed, like, especially in like our like modern time, and it comes to relationships, there's a lot of like, we're kind of going back, bashing heads, like men and women were like arguing all the time. We can't even find the middle ground. And one thing I don't understand, one thing I'm noticing is that a lot of us don't actually fully understand what goes into like a relationship. And there's a lot of things that like goes into it. And a lot of the time, like I said, we're always clashing or butting heads. We don't know what we want. Like, this person saying they want this, person wants they want that, and it's like, it's been super confusing. And like dating in modern times, like I said in the last podcast, I said, we're in the depths of Hades right now. Like we're kind of fighting. So a lot of like essentially what you were saying was like, there's some compromise that comes with it. Like you have to sometimes tear down that hardened shell exterior and break down for that person.
Michael Jackson last show. This is it.
Right, exactly. A lot of the times you have to break down that shell and come to understanding between one another, because like if you just keep like butting heads, you get nowhere.
The one thing that was so interesting is that for me, like 95% of my clientele is trainers, females. Right. So I was, very fortunate to really be able to interact with them, push them, and to even a lot of them say, I'm their motivator. They love having me in life. I'm there. So it was great. But relationship-wise, it was kind of different because, now it's, you got to deal with sometimes, nonverbal cues. Right.
The body language.
You got to deal with, because even me, like, I tell people straight, listen, like, like social media, like, that's, you're going to get, you might get the poetic kid, you're going to get, sometimes it might be rehearsed, whatever, but when I'm by myself in my natural element, it's uncut, it's, I'm me.
Exactly.
Right? So, I think, I plan, I'm in those stages, and so it's like, this is what's up. Right. So it's that understanding of who I am. And, like I tell people, like, even sometimes, what's tough with people, as I talk about mindset, there's certain languages and certain things I do not accept in my personal life. Right? Certain words like can't and negativity. Right. So it gets a little tricky because, as a relationship, we got to be able to speak, communicate, and even argue, but to be able to come back to the same point. Right. Because at the end of the day, it's a partnership.
Exactly.
If we argue, don't mean that it's done, right? It just means that we gotta find ways. And I always tell people, listen, it's solution. Right. If you ain't trying to create a solution, you want to talk about a problem, then you're the problem.
Exactly.
Right? It's simple.
Yeah.
Right? I look at control, alt, delete.
Right.
I'm gonna control the things that I have that I directly am responsible for. Right. I'm going to alter anything, attitudes, routines, environments that, are toxic. Right. And then I'm going to delete. Yeah. Right? People, places, everything. Right. It's just that simple. Right. And, like I tell people, I give them equal opportunity to love or hate. Yeah. Right. Fortunately,
one thing I can't stress enough though is just like, if you can't be yourself, amongst like your friends, your relationships, even around your family, then like there's something that either you got to do, or there's something you got to express or change about yourself, because if you're afraid to speak your mind, especially in a relationship, or if you're in a situation where you feel like you can't speak your mind, and that's probably something that you should not be in, because I've had in my situations where like, you know, I held it all in to the point where I couldn't even say it. And when I finally said it, it came out of a place of anger or desperation or fear out. And, you know, and then it would lead to, you know, like bad results. So like I'm learning even myself, like I'm currently not in a relationship, but like when I get to that point, you know, or get to the point of getting back out there and dating, I kind of want to have, like you said, be a little picky in a sense where, you know, be a little picky in a sense where like I'm not just, you know, putting myself out there to anybody, because,
you know, like for me, what's interesting is, you know, whenever I pick mates, I've never tried to pick someone like me.
Right.
I've picked people that are kind of opposite, that had something different to offer.
Right.
Right. And for me as a poet, I see beauty in everything and everyone.
Right.
And sometimes it was kind of tough because, you know, you're with people that didn't quite see their own potential.
Right.
Right. So then it was kind of like, are you know, you're there babysitting? Right. But, you know, I find like, you know, in myself, I don't know nothing. I'm going to tell you that I'm not a relationship expert.
Right.
But
right.
I had to, by myself, define what do I want.
Right.
Right. You know, I had to look at, you know, because I didn't define it to a person. I'm like, oh,
right.
You know, big titty.
Yeah, none of that, yeah.
I had to simply look at what are some things that, like, attributes that I really held high. Right? Because what it came down to is that I'm not going to settle, and I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I could not express or just be.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
If I can't be random,
right,
and if I cannot, you know, put on, you know, some certain music,
right,
watch a certain show,
right,
or just, you know, be random or be myself, you know, then it won't work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
Even things as a trainer, you
right,
know, being around women and you know, having to explain simple to my you know, simple to my to my spouse is like, listen, like,
right,
you have to understand that this is the client.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You know?
Exactly.
And I told him simple, your issues are yours.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day is that I know where I'm coming from.
Right.
If you're coming at me and you miss, if you're interpreting it differently, that's
right.
me.
Right.
Because for me, my biggest thing that every relationship, I tell them, like I keep 100.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You know, as our grandfather said, a man is his word.
Exactly.
So when I say something, it's what it is. Hold me to that.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, is my goal. I'm not there to nitpick on silly things. My goal is the goal.
Exactly.
So if
exactly.
I keep fumbling and faulting on all these little silly things, you know, semantics, I'll never reach that goal.
Exactly.
So it's just simple where, you know, I've had to communicate and put the ball in that person's court, because when you communicate, I'm expressing and I'm also letting them know, hey, this is what's up.
Right.
So this is the opportunity where we break out of those fears and insecurities, and we gotta trust.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, I go, listen, when you hold me to what I've said, and then I don't follow through, that's where you see, you know, the character.
Exactly. That's on me, you know?
I go, hold me to that, because I know who I am.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, a lot of us, like we like I said, we are who we are, and a lot of us, I guess we've been conditioned these days to kind of be like, you know, let me change up, like code switch, like they say, you know, especially in the Black community, we call it code switching, where, you know, you switch up to, you know, appease this person and that person. And like I said, if you ever have to get to the point where you have to appease somebody else or change who you are to appease them, then that person is just not worth being in that. You know, exactly. No, exactly. Because you know, it's you can't, you know, do that in terms of like,
you know, even I had an audacity of you took off your beard. I don't like you.
Right.
That's not me.
Exactly. Like you found me at this point, you know, you got to take everything from me, and this is what it comes with comfortability in terms of like you got to be comfortable with the person you chose, like in terms of especially if you're going to be that person long term. It's like this person can be the rest potentially for the rest of my life,
Exactly.
So I have to take them for the flaws and all the things that I don't like, the icks, the ticks, and everything,
And I let every woman know that the idea is you're a queen, my queen. I'm empowering you to be that, to be more. Because at the end of the day, like a lot of women like, oh, they don't see the romantics. I'm like, no, because when we get a relationship, then you're gonna see that because at the end of the day, you're my priority and keep you all that energy. Like a lot of women are surprised how I give so much because it's that simple. It's
exactly.
You're my better half.
Exactly.
So I want to make sure you're better than me.
Right.
Because at the end of I tell my girl, like you're MVP.
Right.
Right. Simple. Like I'm the king of the jungle, but you're the lioness. You're up there hunting.
Exactly.
You have a power that I recognize and I put into play.
Exactly.
Simple as that. Right. If I'm LeBron, I'm up there throwing you in there, and because I know you're valuable.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, you're the most valuable player. Like I'm gonna do for you, especially if we're in the relationship, I'm gonna do for you more than I would do for anybody else. So like, know that you're special. Know that if I'm working with this person who happens to be a female client or a female anyone I'm working with, that you don't have to feel jealous or feel any type of way because at the end of the day, I'm coming home to you. I'm seeing you. You're my pride. You're my prize. I see you at the end of the day, and you don't have to worry about anyone else. You know what I mean? Because I'm giving. But I think one of the most important things is not giving to the person. You got to give to the relationship. Because at the end of the day, the relationship is what you're working to build and to grow. You can't just give it to the person. They obviously we're individuals. We came into the relationship as individuals, and we're learning. To kind of maneuver through that.
And you're right. I think that people think that relationships is you go here, you visit this, you partake here, but no, yes, it's different events, but it's different environments, it's different tolerances. You grow and you mature.
Exactly.
So it's not just going and doing. It's surviving through. It's all aspects.
Yeah.
I tell my girl, if she ain't cooking, then I'm gonna cook.
Exactly.
If she misses out on something, I'm gonna do that.
Right. You're picking up,
it's a team aspect.
Exactly, the team aspect. Exactly.
Yeah, she's gonna do laundry way better.
Right. But I'm gonna, I'm gonna tempt it because it's out of love. You know what I mean? Exactly.
I'm gonna make sure that I have that as well. As tell them, listen, don't let anything stop you. Not even me.
Right.
I appreciate the women, the love they're gonna do for me, but they gotta do for themselves first because I don't say you gotta do it from them, not for it.
Exactly.
Because if you can't do it from a love and you're gonna give it to me, shoot. When you make my eggs, I need love then.
Exactly.
Doing it bitter, angry, and not angry to taste nice. Right. So you do it from the love of you just doing it.
Exactly.
Right? Just like me cleaning this, I don't clean because I do it because I love to do it.
Exactly.
Because I have to do it. Right. So these are things that I already do, but there's a greater purpose.
Exactly.
And the best part about it is when you meet the right person, they're going to bring that out of you.
Exactly.
They're going to give you that better reason. Right. And that's me is coming back to who I am as a person when there's that balance.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to war for her, but at the same time, I'm going to be peaceful. I'm going to be calm, and I'm always looking at how do I what are my responses?
You mentioned even just when you get into arguments, obviously, because no relationship is perfect, and you will clash heads. How do you men? Do you believe in not going to bed angry or going to bed, being at odds? Sometimes you may even agree on everything, but how do you kind of go with that?
The biggest thing is for me is I adapted that to where you got to think of what does this person mean to me? You know, what is the goal?
Right.
You know, I have to really think about like me, what is the goal? Because the goal, we want to communicate, we want to solve a problem. So if I want to solve a problem, sometimes what that means is I have to humble myself.
Right.
I gotta, you know, apologize. I have to breathe. I have to make the attempt to correct. Because at the end of the day, especially because, you know, sometimes people, we tend to, oh, it's not fair, and we want that person to do it first. And then, but I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, it's not about who's first and last and whatever. Because at the end of the day, is, you know, it's we all have our roles, and it's important as I realize and recognize what is going on. This is where within myself I have to understand that the greater prize is down the road. Because the one thing that's amazing about a woman, a queen, you know, is when you unlock that love, when you unleash that passion, she'll do anything for you.
Exactly.
Right? So it simply means is manning up and understanding my role, because men were meant to lead. But you gotta lead out of respect, love, you know, confidence, let out of ego. No, you gotta lead from a positive place to empower her, to protect, to nurture, and to build that empire. Because, you know, she's gonna do that. We're out there conquer the world, but she's gonna nurture and shape it. Right? So it takes, you know, being a better person to eventually build that better person.
Right, exactly. Like I mentioned on the last podcast, iron sharpens iron. You know, you're constantly bettering each other. Like you're not, you know, one person, you know, one person's dull and the other, you know, person is sharpening the other. Like we're both kind of, like I said, we're both adding, you know, contributing to the relationship aspect.
Iron sharpens iron, but you better not be wood. Because a lot of people, but I found that you also put, you know, you put people in their place, and you really bring things in perspective. Is that when you're, you know, when you're doing your part and they're not, you know, you're going to see that. So that's why I think that it's important to be 100. Right. Don't wait for it, because I ain't there to you do it, no, you do it. And I don't have time for that.
Exactly.
A waste. Right? You know, I'm a businessman first. It's the second of my time. Right? So it's so important is to shine and be and lead. Right? If they fall back, that's on them. Right? And I don't feel bad, because when you do it from love and you put it out there, and you know you were doing it right, and unfortunately they weren't, you know, you go forward, and for me, like every relationship, I've come out stronger. My next partner's been better. It's how it is. Right. You know, if the last one was a hate, the next one's a 9. Right. You know, this was a 9, this was a 10. You know, right now she's got a 12. So.
We love you, JoJo. In terms of like inspiration, like who would you say, you know, is a big inspiration on like you as a person, you in your craft? Just like, you know,
inspirations. Tupac, right? I love Tupac because this guy is a poet.
Yeah, he is.
An actor, you know, rapper. Like what I love about him is that he's, as a human, he's gone through so many transitions, emotions, and all that, he's been expressive. He's been expressive. So you heard the Tupac who was about to go to jail. You heard the Tupac out of jail. You heard the Tupac that was fresh and was acting. You see him through all those transitions. Right? You know, I love Edgar Allan Poe. You know, guy's a poet who was a little dark, gritty, and very expressive. You know, then, you know, I look at Bruce Lee. The simple fact of being like water, being able to adapt and flow. And, you know, one of his quotes I love, he'll say, listen, if I tell you I'm good, you're going to say I'm boasting. If I tell you I'm not, you know I'm lying.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It was very important that he was always trying to be and express and maximize himself. Right? When you maximize yourself, it's not from a comparison. It's you digging deep to be the best version of you. Right? Then there's like guys like Musashi.
Yeah.
This is a guy with the double sword technique. And he was a guy that started off he was ruthless.
Yeah.
But he died as a monk. So this is a guy that went through the extremes of violence and war to finally realize that, hey, all the outcome comes down to peace. Right? Because they say, peace is a man who's incapable of violence. He's not peaceful. He's harmless. So it comes down to having that sword and eventually not using it. Right? I look at guys like my dad, who's he's a survivor. This is a man that, also a poet, who was able to transcend and survive his environment, from drowning. I remember one time he broke both his wrists and had to carry on the coconuts. To be a farmer, to be an excellent cook. Teach me a lot about nutrition. Just being able to give me my basic survival skills and instincts. Amazing, human. I look at my wrestling coach, my taekwondo coach, simple like anime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Shout out to Goku.
Goku. Yeah. So speaking of anime, like, what would you say your favorite anime is for the anime people out there?
I want to say Dragon Ball Z, but I don't know. One Piece right now is
it's really good right now. So I'm hearing it's doing really good right now.
It's what I love about it, because this is simply a guy who's goofy, who's silly. He's himself, but he's still a leader. Right. And that's the one thing, is that we think that leaders are without flaws, but no. Yeah. Right? And his biggest thing is he knows that without his team, he's nothing. Exactly. Right? Exactly. So he's smart enough to empower his team to help him with his goal. Right? Because that's the thing, you see all these Steven Seagal-like leaders who walk around who are untouchable and who just go around winning all the time. And you don't realize that a true leader is someone who makes mistakes, but corrects them.
And the flaws, exactly.
Because you don't win. Sometimes you don't win until you accept and understand the loss. Right? And it touches me because that's what he's about. He turns every loss into a win, and he always comes back stronger. He gains from all those experiences.
Yeah, that's one thing I do like about the character of Goku, or even just like different characters in terms of even the same race. They're a group of a race of beings who, when they get knocked down, they come back stronger. And I find that really empowering because, I've been in my dark places. I've been in my dark moments, and having those people to kind of be like your team, those people that are always encouraging you to go forward higher and faster, are the ones that, help you come out of those places. And seeing you get knocked down and you having that incubation period of you waiting, getting your mind back on track, and then boom, you come back stronger is, the most important thing. And like I said, that's why I love, seeing characters like that. It's very, inspirational.
This is why even, as simply this wristband says that train today to become better than it was yesterday. Right? It's just, going back to with my wrestling days, my wrestling coach started off with a lot of sayings and a lot of things that stuck with me. His coach used to always say that you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And he said, $1 in is $1 out. And, these were things that I used to recite to myself, and, and then even to go on to have my own sayings. Just to simply look at, ways to maximize, especially when I'm down,
right.
to push through.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Just like, Goku, our Luffy,
right.
They had their moments, but they had to find that strength to push.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's why, like, I said to tell myself, I'm not a foot doctor, and I worry about the feet. Right? Simply, like I said, go to war with my hands, but the feet with my mind. In the absence of love, there's nothing worth fighting for.
Right.
Right? There's a lot of just the simplicity of it. If it doesn't hurt, it doesn't work.
Right.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, no pain, no gain, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of being a trainer and stuff like that, do you have any just words of advice for people who are trying to get to it, become successful or in that or pushing hard, or people are just starting their fitness journey or anything of that nature?
Simple. It's a lifestyle, right? So it takes 10 years to get to 10 years.
Right.
So what that means is within those 10 years, right, you're going to have your faults.
Right.
You're going to have your faults. So simply, I break it down to what's your break it down to the routines.
Right.
So you have your alarm clock, right? You have time, your breakfast times. You have, your work schedule. I simply walk people through their day, walk them through their week, right? And it simply comes down to, for example, I have clients, oh my God, sorry, I couldn't make it or can't get up. And I go down, I go, okay, when you get up?
Right.
They're like, 8 o'clock. Okay. All right. So you get up at 8, when's your alarm go off? 7:30. Okay, perfect. Set your alarm, 6:45. Right? And I go, why? Okay. When the alarm goes off, it's gonna go off, you're gonna get mad.
Right.
Give yourself that 30 minutes, 45 minutes to be upset, to be frustrated, to curse your alarm clock, to almost quit your job, then get up. Right? You're not going to get up right away, but give yourself that moment. Train yourself to get it all out and then get up. So you've already started off your day on the, planning and thinking because, you don't want to get up, but then you're going to go, wait, I got bills. Okay. Right? So you're pondering why you need to get up.
Exactly.
Right? So it's important to look at these routines and capitalize on it. Right? You're more likely to go to the gym if you have your stuff packed and you put it by the door.
Sure.
Right? You pass there, you're going to see it. Oh, I got to go. Right? So it's so important to create these little tiny routines. Right? That might be daily, and then you look at weekly. You're gonna plan out your day. You might say Monday gym, Wednesday gym, Friday gym. Put in your calendar. Right, and then simply you're gonna repeat those cycles throughout your for the month. Right, and that's your year. Right, people forget that when you hear about, I was able to lose 100 pounds in a year. Right, there was days that they failed. Right. There were days that they gained weight. Right. But guess what? Within that 365 days, right, they're not going to say, I failed and didn't make a year. No. Right. Those bad days make up, it's all part of it. Just like a rainbow. You need sunshine and rain. Exactly. So Monday happened and you ate that. You had a Whopper.
A cheat meal.
On Monday, you couldn't wait Wednesday, so you had a Whopper Monday. Right. Who cares? Move on to Tuesday.
Exactly.
It's momentum.
Right.
I had people literally right off the whole week just because of one day. No. Okay. Right. Make the mistake. Yeah. And keep going because it's momentum. Yeah. Right. You just I told someone, who are you to tell yourself that you made a mistake? Wow. Who are we? Wow. Why do we feel why do we judge ourselves and feel like that's the standard and that's the mistake and we write ourselves off? When we really study success, it's just never quitting. Yeah. Right? It's just eventually winning. Right? It's just taking, keep going and taking that L.
Right.
And instead of it's a loss, you got to twist it into a lesson.
Exactly.
So when you learn, then you earn. Right? So it's just simple routines and, mantras, motivation. The thing with motivation, I tell people, like, it's like deodorant. You have to go on every day.
Right.
So I rather inspire people to motivate themselves.
Right.
To find their why. Right? And what I mean by why, I don't mean like, I just want to, just be jacked.
Right.
Find there's something that is greater.
Right. Right.
I never forget a client who she was like, oh my God, Theo, I know this is maybe not a big deal, but I was able to stand on one leg and put on my pants.
Wow.
I was able to carry the laundry basket up the stairs.
Right.
Right? These are the little wins.
Right.
Right? You have to. This is why patterns are important, because
right.
You're over there bench pressing 1 million pounds. Your boss don't care.
Right.
The real patterns might be you're at your job, you're lifting something from the bottom shelf to the top shelf.
Yeah.
Those are patterns you better work on. Right? It might be simple. You're standing you're at a desk and you might be leaning.
Right.
You might have to correct that. It might be simple things about, how you're pushing down your toes when you walk. Right? These are simple things. Right? I literally see people that go, man, I can't come to your class, can't work out.
Right.
I see them in the club literally doing like three classes over there, merengue, dancing it up, killing all this cardio and doing a fantastic job.
Right.
And then they still got excuses.
Yeah.
I was like, no. When it's not fun and it's not intentional,
right,
you're not going to win. You're not going to do it.
Right.
So you have to, change it up. You got to make it fun. But it starts with your little routines.
Right.
Right? Simple. Hey, maybe it's just you wearing something that brings something like, that motivates you.
Right.
I got this little bracelet.
Right.
The shirt.
Right.
Something simple that's going to inspire you to push. Right? I always love with my clients is that the first day I see them, then the second day I'll notice, oh shoot, they're wearing, they have nice shoes on. Third day I see them all matching. Right? They put, the moment they start putting intention in,
effort. Right.
Effort. They start trying to feel good, look right.
Right.
That's when you see the progress. Right? Because you got to invest. Right? You got to put gas in your car first before you drive. Right. Problem is people try to drive on E and expect to get there.
Exactly.
Expect motivation.
Right.
Nope.
Exactly. No. Yeah, you can't get there unless you're putting in the effort. A lot of people they feel like, oh, let me just get an easy way to success. Let me just, lazy my way out, or manipulate my way here, or say this or that, or even pray to God, like, God, give me success. But God's not going to even give you success if you're not out there actively going for it. Like,
gym membership.
Exactly. and even in the outside of the gym, it's just in the life, is a lesson of life, if you're going out there, if you're looking for success, if you're not comfortable with your current situation and you want to do better for yourself, there are some things you have to do. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to do something you hate. You have to, go to that job you don't like. You have to see that one person, you might have to be around that environment, that group. And that's not to say that you have to purposely put yourself in toxic situations. But if you are in a situation where you have no other choice, then I say, suck it up, buttercup. Get out there, and work hard, and keep your mental health in check. That's one thing I always promote on this podcast, is to keep your mental health in check, because you can do it all. You can get you can get your body in a great shape. You can get all the things you want in life, but if your mentality is not there, then that can all fail. You can go back. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, your mind is the most important. I
tell a lot of people, just like with this whole pandemic.
Right.
I watched and I analyzed and I see now a lot of people, it wasn't that they were about that life.
Right.
They were just in that environment that allowed them. Right? The moment they left that environment, you're seeing the demons come out. You see their true nature. It all unravels.
Right.
This is why I told people that, don't a lot of people, they're coming to me for that workout, and I know the rest of the days are right.
Exactly.
They're not doing anything.
Yeah.
They're gonna eat that Whopper on Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday. They're gonna live that life. Yeah. And then till the next session. Right. And then they look at me like, no, you have to understand that goal, is something that is ongoing, and then you gotta create a why that's going to be in your head nonstop. Right? Like I always love that analogy where, this little story where, if you told someone to walk across a plank for $20 on the floor, they're gonna walk across it. But if you put it on between two 10-story buildings and told them to walk across for that same $20, they wouldn't do it. Exactly. But if there was a building on fire with a loved one, you couldn't pay them quickly enough for them to go across there. Exactly. So your why has to be strong enough for you to want it so badly. Yeah. Yeah. Right? And sometimes it's simple. My clients like, oh, listen, if I make them laugh, I can make them do anything. And I've proven that. Right? It's just simple as that. When we're so stuck and stubborn on it, no, you gotta enjoy it. Laugh, live, enjoy it. Right. Have to. Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to enjoy, what you're doing and enjoy the journey. It's one thing, like I said, a lot of times you got to do things where you're uncomfortable and, you look goofy sometimes. But at the end of the day, if your mind is set on the prize, then you are working towards that, every day, something, you're doing something. And like you mentioned earlier, just the little wins that make you feel like, you may mean nothing to you now. But later on, it's going to, eventually, you're going to see those results. And, it's something I've had to encourage myself as well. It's like, I may not get, this amount of money to do this or whatever. I mean, I be out here balling and, whatever. But, I'm getting the small, wins to, build, whether it be my portfolio or whether it be, a little bit of attraction around the city or anything like that. So to people out there, don't feel discouraged when you're not, getting to where you want to be, or you didn't get that job, or you didn't, get with that person or whatever. There's those small wins that you're doing to help better yourself. Always a lesson. Exactly. It will help you go in the long run. And like I said, and a lesson. There's a lesson to learn in life. I'll never forget a quote. A guy, Carlos Puckrin, shout out to Power Puckrin. He was saying that success leaves clues. A lot of times, as I work with people, I'm seeing what they're doing, I'm taking note, and then I'm scaling for something bigger. Right? I remember we started off when we did. My first program was just for a week. Right? Then I was able to scale it to a month, 3 months. Right? To the point where I actually have clients that I sit through with them and I put them through a year training plan. Right? I literally show them through daily routines, weekly planning, monthly goals, and really take them through that to see, okay, this is what your year should look like. Right? These are our expectations. Right. If you really want it, this is what it looks like. Exactly. This is what it is. Right. And I remember watched a video. This guy, I forget his name, but he went to the gym and he was asking all these guys, ladies, whatever, how many hours of labor that they do a week for their jobs, and how much time do they commit, and how are they able still to committed to the gym. And I like that video because it's people are out here working their job, their 9 to 5s. They're probably tired as ever, but they know they have a goal in mind, and they're going to keep working at it. So you can be working a 10-hour shift and still find yourself in the gym at the end of the day because you're working towards something. And a lot of people are like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Listen, man, this is the easy part of my day." Exactly. Right. Exactly. This is just like for me, the worst thing I ever hate is when people put their expectations, their worries, their stresses on me. And
right.
Are you sure you can do it? No, that's difficult. That's tough. That's challenging.
Right.
Guess what? You still got to do it.
Exactly.
So I got to do it. I'm going to pretend that it's the easiest, most funnest thing in the world.
Exactly.
Because it has to be done.
Exactly.
Right? And because the way life is, right, you're going to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Or you're going to learn from other people's hard ways.
Exactly.
Right? So, you have to start. You have to.
Right.
Right? It's simple as that. If you don't learn hair, you're going to feel.
Yeah, right? Exactly. We grew up in a Caribbean household, so a lot of what we've learned was instilled, through the whole country. We grew. My parents are from Guyana, so we have a lot of what we learned instilled in that. How does especially what we've learned in our household? How do your parents? What have you learned? Going forward, any life lessons.
From. Well, one thing I love about the Caribbean is that there's a lot of sayings. There's a lot of things that are there to stick in your head.
Right.
That are there to remind you. Just like if you don't hear, you're gonna feel.
Right.
I never forget this saying: don't cuss the alligator till you finish cross the bridge. Right. You learn these things. Right, they say if you see things at daytime, don't go take a fire stick to go see it at night. That's what it is. Right. So these are things that and it's funny because a lot of them come with stories and parables and lessons that don't change.
Yeah.
Right? And they're the same time over and over. So what I love about that is that these are the things I grew up with that were in my head to guide me.
Right.
So when I reach into situations, I remember. Right. I remember to take heed because there's a lot of warnings.
Right.
Right. It's so important that that we listen.
Right.
Because within those stories, there's always the what could happen if you don't.
Exactly. So we're coming to the end of the podcast. Thank you, Theo, for being on the show today. You have any last words for the people to just kind of end off the episode strong?
You know what? I just I'd say my message to people is simply to do things from love. Meaning love your routines.
Right.
Love the people you're with.
Right.
Love the food you eat. Love what you read, you listen to.
Right.
Take it all in.
Right.
Because the good part about it is all those things that you take in with love.
Right.
You end up when it's time to put out.
Right.
Boom, you're unstoppable. Right. What I love about working with people is that when you surround them with all these positive things that feedback, encouragement, music, all these things, the end product is magical. So I tell people do it from love, not for it.
Right.
Simply take a note of yourself because the hardest thing that I see is there's some amazing people who don't even know they're amazing.
Right.
And I tell someone, listen, don't ever disrespect yourself in front of me.
Exactly.
Because I'm offended at what you're saying to yourself.
Exactly.
Right? But so many people were so caught up in the stupid Kardashians. We're trying to keep up with the Jetsons. And trying to impress, the Smiths.
Right.
Impress your damn self.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. Love yourself because that's the person you're going to be stuck with.
Right.
So it's so important to do it from love. Right? Love you.
Right.
And, blossom.
Yes.
Right?
So this has come to the end of our episode. Once again, thank you for being on the podcast today. Do you have any like socials for the people to catch you on? Or
What man?
Yeah. Google him. The links will be in the description as well, so you can check that as well. Instagram.
Right. I got my Snapchat. Right. Facebook.
Right.
I'm the one thing with my social media is, I'm very expressive. It's out there.
Right.
I'm me. I'm authentically me.
Right.
I keep it 1,000. It is what it is.
Right.
I'm not. I like I said, I give you an equal opportunity to love or hate me. But I'm there. I keep it consistent. I keep it 100.
Right. All right. Everyone, thank you for tuning in for episode 2 of the Dress Like Rappers podcast. I've been Shinobi Toby, aka Young Sinatra, and tonight we are signing off. I will see you guys on the next episode. Peace.